we got to get right into it. And of course, I want to pull the story that, again, this was reported upon by a bunch of people. The story I have in front of me, and of course, I love giving credit where credit is due, is I pulled from thegamer.com. It was written by Joshua Robertson. And basically, it says Microsoft insider shoots down Xbox Prime rumors. Now, yesterday, Ghost of Hope, who is a Call of Duty insider, he has 72,000 followers. He is not a fly-by-night kind of a poster. He does have tremendous track record, Jamie. And, obviously, him saying that Xbox is having a console release in 2026, look, it's not new news. We've been talking about it for a while. We've been talking about the fact that it could very well be this quote-unquote hybrid console where it's going to have Steam OS capabilities of you being able to play your Steam library. Potentially, you're going to be able to play your Epic's Game Store library, but it's also going to be, your main Xbox. And your Xbox it's expected to run just like your Series X now. It's expected to look, I would imagine, incredibly different, but it's going to have a lot of capabilities that we haven't seen before. And again, this merging of PC and console is something that warms my old man's heart, because look, I'm not a PC guy. I have the means, I have the funds. I don't want to be bothered with having to update things and get things to work and change parts. I mean, listen, if that's your bag, I understand. And that's awesome that you have the patience and the skills in order to do that. For me, I simply want to press a button or walk into a store and pick up this device, bring it home, unbox it, take a couple of pictures, put it on the socials, and then plug it in and go. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's me being a simpleton at all. I just think that I like simplicity when it comes to my gaming. And like I said, I'm not a PC guy, but I do like the idea that Xbox or Microsoft is going to put out a console. It's going to be very powerful. It's going to probably be around starting at $600. Maybe it's going to be more. Who knows? But I do like the idea that if that particular console, which is going to be the base model console, isn't powerful for me, and I have the available funds to go to, let's say, a ROG or a Lenovo or an Alienware or Dell, for instance, and they're probably going to have their set boxes, they're going to be priced, and they're going to have, your small, your medium, and your large. And if the Xbox starting core console is $600 and it has some bells and whistles, but the $1,100 model is top tier and it has all the extra bells and whistles, I'll eventually buy the $1,100 one because I'll have the funds to do that. What I like about it is I won't have to actually do anything with it. I'll simply just pick the box I want. And again, this is all speculation at this point because there's been no confirmation from Microsoft that this is even happening. But the more we hear about it from Tom Henderson and Jez Corden and Ecstasies and so many others in the industry that consistently put out new big pieces of information. Jamie, let's get your thoughts on this. Again, the rumor was that it was going to be called Xbox Prime. I think that's a dumb name, but I also think that is just the code name. Let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the next Xbox has been the industry's worst kept secret for ages now. I mean, hell, Microsoft started talking about it basically last year openly on that podcast they did last January. So, like, we all know what's happening. It's just all about the when and the how. And, like, the Xbox Prime thing, as soon as I saw that, like, look, off the bat, kind of sound cool, yeah. But I think, like, and I've been trying to say this since, like, 2019. Microsoft just has to end the weird naming conventions. I keep saying this, and people keep saying, why am I calling this Xbox 6? Just call it that, rip off the Band-Aid, and then have the portable be called, Xbox 6 Go. Because they couldn't call the Xbox 360 the Xbox 2 because that was one less than 3, and that's how normies think. And we have to think about the normies. Look at the Wii U. granted, it wasn't announced the best way. Everyone just thought the Wii U was a tablet for their current Wii, right? So it sold like 5 units. But anyway, we all know there's an next Xbox happening. It basically leaked in the Xbox FTC documents. Like, they go on full hog into 2026. And, they were adamant that they aren't doing a mid-gen upgrade. Some people loved that idea. Some people didn't. Personally, I think this time around, it's just unnecessary. Like, I'm playing Indiana Jones at 4K 60 and it has ray tracing. Like, I'm good. I'm good for now, In 2026, like, that means we'll have had, 6 years with the console. And that's what console generations used to be. They used to be 5 to 6 years, sometimes 4. And it's only because of the 7th generation when the economy tanked and we had the Kinect and the PlayStation Move to basically extend the generation. And that's when we start thinking, these generations should be long. But like, there's developers already working on next generation games. Like that Project Century that was announced at the Game Awards, that isn't current generation. No chance. No chance in hell. But I 100% believe it's happening. I just think like Microsoft, they have a tendency to like have really good ideas and execute them badly. So like, the Xbox One, it was like the Xbox One X, I think, is an amazing console. Really powerful. It ran Red Dead Redemption 2 at 4K. And they announced the Xbox Series X in 2019 at the Game Awards. It shocked everyone, but they basically killed off an entire year of sales. And Nintendo has a Switch 2 coming around the corner, and they were heavily advertising the Switch at Christmas. And all the replies on Twitter were like, you know what? People getting the Switch for Christmas, they're going to regret it because the Switch 2 comes out in 2 months. And like, that's what Microsoft has to think about. They have to think about their growth. But I think it's going to be an exciting time, whether it's the PC hybrid or something. Microsoft, to keep talking about the handheld thing. The handheld thing's been mentioned non-stop at Microsoft. Phil Spencer talks about handheld at every opportunity. I think the success of the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally has proven that there's a hunger for this, portable gaming outside of Nintendo. They just have to announce it the right way. The rumor is that the next Call of Duty is I should say in 2026 is Infinite Warfare. Sorry, not Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare.
Yes.
And, that makes sense. This year is going to be a Black Ops game. I just think, Microsoft, they have the opportunity to have an amazing launch with a new Halo game, an Elder Scrolls game, allegedly, Elder Scrolls 6. And, like, if they get everything right, they're going to have a great launch. I just hope I really hope they don't call it Xbox Prime. Because like I'm kind of tired of the naming convention thing. Xbox 360, it was 2005. It was cool. You had G. Allard sitting on stage with a blazer over his, or hoodie over his blazer, talking about achievements. It was very 2005, and it worked. And then the Xbox One came around, and people start calling it Xbone because for some reason we start abbreviating Xbox as XB. And in Xbox Series consoles, like
right with the one make Xbone,
yeah, and with the Series consoles, I'm fine with the Series X, but like, just I hope someone from Microsoft like really pays attention to my tweets. Maybe I'm annoying them, but like,
no,
just
I
go
think
with,
you're onto something.
Just go with Xbox 6. Nobody will care. We didn't get an iPhone 9. We didn't get Windows 9. They just moved straight to 10. People got over it. People will get over it with Xbox 6.
This next generation console, I know I saw, I was watching Dirk Riggity's show the other day, and shout out to him, Sean and the rest of the crew. Love the work that they do. Their show is so much fun. There's been some talk about whether or not the 6-year gap is enough for next gen. And I have a thought on that. I think that if you just look, and I did a video yesterday, and it really wasn't a quote unquote, traditional video. It was us talking about the obsession that the gaming industry seems to have with Xbox console sales. It's almost to the point of ridiculous, right? Well, they're consistently every year dropping a significant amount in console sales. So obviously I don't even think that they broke, based on some of the numbers that I saw, 1 million consoles, in a certain amount of, a period of time. They don't have to worry about, Xbox eating its own lunch because Xbox is having a hard time selling consoles. Now, why is that? Is that because the console is a piece of garbage? No, that their Series X, even the Series S, are fantastic pieces of hardware. The difference with Sony is not because Sony's PlayStation 5 is so much leaps and bounds better. Sony has the market where you have to buy a PS5 more times than not to play a certain game. That is the old way of doing business. Is it working? Yes. They have sold, I want to say it's probably close to 70 million PlayStation 5s. I know the number that we're going with is 65, but they did really well during the holidays. So I would imagine that it's probably closer to, that 68, 69, even 70 million consoles. And that's awesome. But that is not the whole story. Now, in regards, Jamie, to what you were talking about, being careful, seeing Nintendo not talk about the Switch 2 and heavily advertise the Switch 1, I don't think Xbox really needs to worry so much about that for the simple fact that they're having trouble moving the console. At least that's just my hot take on it. I think that what you will get and why are they having trouble moving the console? But I don't want to lose this point, Jamie. I really want to drive this point home. Again, it's not because the console or the games attached to that console aren't good enough to compete with Sony. That's not the case. The reason why they're having trouble selling the console is because you can play your games pretty much everywhere. You can play them on cloud. You can play them on TV. They just announced a deal with LG starting this year. They're going to have the app or, their gamers hub in the LG TVs, very similar to what Samsung has. You can play on all of the cloud services. You can play on your PC and some of the games, and we know a few of them for this year for PlayStation. Doom Eternal, you're going to play that on your PS5. Indiana Jones, you're going to play that on your PS5. The rumored Oblivion remake, which we're going to talk about on the back end of the show, you're probably going to be able to play on your PS5. So there is a boatload of games. And again, is it a bad business for Xbox to put their games everywhere? Listen, folks, you know my feelings on this. I don't like the cross-pollination of games going to PlayStation, but I don't have any control over it. Like I said before, and I'll say it 1,000 times more, as long as Xbox is delivering for me as a consumer, and I'm getting those games that are available here, there, and everywhere in my $20 a month service without any interruption, I actually don't have a problem. Did I think differently last year? Yes. Was that an old man way of thinking? It absolutely was. And I moved on with the times. I'm still in my feelings about Gears, Forza, and Halo. I don't really think that they need to go over there, but I also am not running Xbox. And you know that's perfectly fine. Jamie, I want to get your points on this because, again, I understand your apprehension about, be careful about announcing a next generation console because no one's going to buy this one. I don't know if that hurts, brother. I think that because you can play everywhere, PC, you can play on the cloud, you can play on your phone, you can play on your tablet. I'm not saying that there's not importance to the console under the box. I'm never going to stop buying that box under the console. But I still think that at 6 years, it's enough, at least for Xbox. Maybe it's not enough for PlayStation because they're selling so well. I mean, maybe that's why PlayStation isn't going to talk next gen because they're still selling PS5s. What are your thoughts to my thought and theory on this?
I mean, I think you're right, but I think at the same time that obviously Microsoft they're making these Xbox Series consoles. They want them to sell,
Of course they do.
And the Xbox Series X, like look, it's my favorite console of all time.
Yes.
At this point because it plays basically most of my Xbox library. It's a fantastic machine. It's quiet. It looks like a monolith, which is cool. And they have a great product, and they just need to. I think it's important for the Xbox console base to sell, and to get the Xbox Series X and S to sell is important because we need third-party games to come to the platform, and the more consoles that are out there, the more likelihood there is of these games coming over. That's why I think it's important for them to keep marketing, because when the Xbox One X came out, they had so much momentum. People loved the One X. If people don't believe me, go back to when Microsoft launched the One X. They did a live stream. They were almost treating it like a brand new generation. They were so excited. They finally ended the resolution war and the whole what's it called? Resolution Gate. They finally ended it. No more 720p, all this stuff. No more blurry images and thumbnails type of thing. And they ended that, and there was so much excitement over it. But when they announced the Xbox Series X, literally the sales fell off a cliff. Whether it's something they need to do or not, it's just good to have the console sell throughout the year. Now, was it a good marketing stunt? When they announced it at the Game Awards, hell yeah, because everyone saw it. There was millions of people watching. But I want to talk about that whole is 6 years enough thing, because that is actually an interesting question. And console generations used to be, like I said earlier, used to be 5 years, 6 max, sometimes 4.
Sometimes even more.
Yeah, and we were just used to it. And like I said, the 360 and the PS3, it was elongated because the economy tanks, blah blah blah. I think this generation's a bit weird because, personally, I think 6 years is enough. I just think for a lot of people, it might not feel like enough at first because, look, when these consoles launched, really think about it, these consoles launched, we were all stuck in the house. We were in the middle of lockdowns, in the middle of a pandemic, and we had a new console generation launch that didn't have, midnight launches at all. There weren't any exciting crowds gathering for new consoles to sell, hell, I bought my Xbox Series X literally while sitting on my behind, ordering it on my Xbox One X, right? I went to the store and ordered it, right? That simple. And I think, people were waiting for games to come out because all the delays happened. Hell, if the pandemic didn't happen, we may have had Hellblade 2 in 2022.
Probably, yeah.
Because all the offices in the UK were closed for about 16 months. So they couldn't make the game. So we were just waiting for a long time for these games to come out. I know for a fact that Hogwarts Legacy, that game was meant to be out ages before it came out. Ages. Hell, Warner Brothers was going to do their very first E3 showcase in 2020, and then everything went to crap. I think 6 years is enough. I just think, now it feels like the generation is picking up steam, so people might not think it's enough, but look at how PC hardware evolves over time. There's new graphics cards every few years.
Yep.
Console gaming, I don't think ever needs to be like that, but I don't think having a new console every 10 years is good enough. I think 6 is fine. And, let's say if they did a mid-generation refresh this year or last year, do people really want to wait till 2028 for a new generation? Personally, I don't.
Well, I'll say this. That's the running rumor for PlayStation, and that's all. That's another deep, dark rabbit hole that we can go down because, again, I've said this even last year. I think there's a real opportunity here for Microsoft to take a strong, steadfast lead into next gen. So walk with me, folks, on this one, and you, Jamie, as well. So based on the potential of Sony doing a 2028 release, right? If Xbox is able to get to market end of 2026, holiday of next year, and they have a handheld and they have this hybrid console, which of course at that point will once again be a changing of the guard for the industry. It's the first time you're going to have this magical mystery box that does everything. Console, PC, but it's going to look and play like a traditional box. They're going to change the industry there. If they have a 2-year gap, which I think is too long for Sony to sit on their hands, I think that if, and this is the big if next year they do release these two consoles, meaning one handheld, one under box underneath your TV, I think that pushes the envelope for Sony to come out in 27. I don't think they could honestly wait, even if the PS5 is still selling. There's no way that they're going to sit on their hands and wait to 28. But if Microsoft is able, Jamie and chat, to get a console out, 2 consoles, mind you, their first foray into handheld and the first hybrid PC console box next year, not only will they have the hardware, they already have the games lineup. We know games going all the way into 2027. Their first party output is bananas. And there's a rumor that this June is going to be even more bonkers than last June. They have the services. You'll be able to play your game. There's a lot of hypotheticals here, folks, but if the Play Anywhere initiative comes to be, and you can play your games across multiple devices outside of the Xbox that you have, I'm going to be honest with you, and someone's going to clip me on this, but I think it's game over for PlayStation. I really, really do. If they could jump PlayStation by at least a year and have all of these things enacted. You have your services, you have your games, you got your hardware, and a year ahead of Sony, brother, I think they take the lead, they take the market lead, and they keep it. But that's just my opinion. Any additional context you'd like to add?
The whole leapfrogging thing, it's they've done it before. The Xbox 360, they leapfrogged Sony by a year, and look at what that did. Like the Xbox 360, even though it had a 50% failure rate, and they were breaking all over the place, they had a massively successful generation where basically gaming was referred to as Xbox.
Yes.
It's like when you're a kid and like your mother would like call everything gaming a Nintendo, right? No matter what you're playing on, it's a Nintendo. That's what the Xbox became that generation. Or you're playing on an Xbox, and Xbox was like the thing to have that generation, be it for multiplayer, like the indie scene popped off, like all the exclusives, basically everything about the Xbox 360 was amazing. And I think, they struck gold with how that launched. Now, with them possibly having a 2-year head start, I think that's an interesting thing because if they get 2 years head start, like who knows what like games are going to look like and perform like on the thing. But you also have to wonder, like, will the parity clause still be in effect for things like Call of Duty? Because if they're a generation ahead, so they can't use their own technology to its fullest, just to appease
I don't think
Sony.
That would be an issue, and I that wouldn't be breaking any laws. If they have new technology out and Sony doesn't, they wouldn't be nerfing the next Call of Duty. They would do it to the best of the hardware's ability.
Yeah, but if they are actually leapfrogging Sony, like I don't think it's the end of Sony, but I think like again, maybe it's just me having a crazy moment. I really don't understand why the mid-generation refresh happened this time. Sony didn't need to do it. Like, yes, their box isn't as powerful as the Series X, but it's not exactly a weak console either. It just feels like a cash grab to me. And again, last time 4K TV adoption popped off. That's why we got those consoles. This time, there's nothing. People aren't buying new TVs for some new feature. So like a new generation, to me, it's welcome in 2026. And like, thank God Microsoft did not do a mid-generation refresh, because I think that wouldn't have ended well. But anyway, the leapfrog thing, I think it could really work in Microsoft's favor if it does launch with the hypothetical Elder Scrolls 6, which is rumored to come out then anyway. I think it could really work in Microsoft's favor.